Alright, we got a late night vibe here. Hello, conscious breathers, infinite beings alike, breath family. So today we're going to talk about mental architecture. Hey, blessings to all. A lot of people are up tonight. Hey, Electra. I texted you. Hope you got my text. So today's topic, I'm not going to go live for after this day. It's going to be a while before I go live again after today. Hello from Germany. Welcome. Full moon. Yeah, I've been avoiding the moon. Personally, I've grown to abstain from being in the light of the moon because at the end of the day, it is a sucking energy. It really is. I'm sure there's lots of full moon rituals and stuff like that, but I'm looking at the point where I'd rather be pumped up with so much life energy or life force, so to speak, where it naturally pushes out anything that is disharmonious in current reality, so to speak. Because, you know, when it pulls, you think it just pulls what it needs to, right? No, it's pulling a bunch of stuff. It pulls that cultivative energy that you have. Trust me, go on a moon, I guess you could call it, go on a moon fast and try to abstain from being outside. You know, there are certain stories where they say there was a time where the moon didn't even exist, right? There's certain ancient texts that would say that as well. It's an interesting topic because there's different societies that they only woke up in the nighttime. I think there's certain ancient Indian, specifically the Indian, certain Indian tribes, they would have this story circulating where certain tribes would only be awake during nighttime, and in the daytime, that's the time where they would sleep. But my opinion, in terms of sleep, they basically sun gaze in the sense of where they just had their eyes closed, relaxed at the sun, and just stood there and just absorbed the energy from the sun. And then at nighttime, they'd wake up like, all right, it's time to move. That's how I could see it happening. I did speak to one native one time, and he said he has heard about that before. And there's the other factor where, I don't know, some of them would actually hide. The more as time progressed in certain tribes, that's when they start hiding away from the sun. Hey, much love. Yeah, so if you guys saw the post I made, breathe. It's good to breathe consciously at places that impaired your breathing. Shift the narrative of your subconscious. That is so powerful. I personally got to experience that when I went to California because that's where everything, for me, I lost everything at that point in time in my life, and that's when I found everything at the same time. But going back there this past couple months ago, I think it's been over 4 months, we went out there, we went to Texas, then we went to Cali to do an event out there on the beach. And of all places, I wouldn't imagine 60 plus people coming out just for that on the beach on a cold day. It means if you're one of those people watching, I truly am honored that you came out for that event. It means a lot to me. I think I see one person actually from that event. Which beach? It was Ventura Beach, a little bit up north. some places in Asia I've heard too. Ooh, what have you heard in Asia, Johan? Oh, I don't know if I'd ever showed you guys the pyramid, and literally on the bottom, the scalars are there right now. Yeah, which part of Asia have you heard that story where they would only come out at nighttime? I think that's what you're referring to. What's playing in the background? Actually, the scalar music, it's on my YouTube now. You should be able to find it. And that particular music is literally on one of the scalars right now. And quick backstory, that we recorded that on one of my events, actually. So it's scalar to the max, because that whole event was based off scalar. It's very intentional, and it gets me into a different zone than what I'm used to with all the, I don't know, I feel every single subliminal breathwork music that I made has definitely a different energetic taste to it. It really does. Even if I would put the same exact frequencies on one particular one, it would, I don't know, they all feel different. There is 1 hour and 22 minutes left until my 30th birthday. Ooh, I think we should celebrate. We're gonna do like a mini session into your birthday. I think that's why you're up. I don't know which time zone you're in, but we can do a mini session into your birthday. Perceptive Visionary. Yeah, if anybody wants to hop on and join live, you're more than welcome to. But let's tap back into mental architecture. Oh, you're in LA, so I think you're what? You're 3 hours behind, right? It's 1 o'clock over here, so you're probably what, 9 p.m. over there? Any advice for prostate health? Oof, stop masturbating. That's a big one. That's a big advice I can give you. Stop masturbating for prostate health. And the breath work should also help during those times of cultivation in terms of prostate health. Sexual cultivation, it helps a lot with your prostate. It helps with a lot of channeling the energy in that regard. But also practice tantric sex when you are in a fasted state. That's also a powerful way to also reprogram your relationship with sex in general too, and improve prostate health without ejaculating. That's what I mean by that. So you can still have sex, yes, but try not ejaculating. That's the main point of it. And starting next year, I'll be uploading some more stuff for Breath Library regarding specifically sex. I think that's a big one that I'm getting as the fourth quarter, as we go into the new year. A lot of people are asking about that a lot more. So I'm listening to you guys, and I have some people from the members group also ask about that. So I'll definitely tap into that a lot more come next year for sure. All right. So going back to mental architecture. So something powerful to build up a quote unquote mental architecture. That's how I said, it's great to breathe where your breathing was impaired in terms of the actual environment, place that's deep within your subconscious. You have a breath relationship to that place. So every time you see that place, it's going to somewhat affect your breathing. Let's say when I worked with women in particularly, and men too, yes, men also go through rape, quote unquote. Let's dive into that. So places where they have been abused in that sense, I would go mentally in terms of asking them, hey, how did the place look? I try not to really bring in the actual person of them trying to remember the person. I try to focus more on the environment. And that's a safer way in bringing back those memories. You know, if you ever want to work on a particular situation that involved in abuse or a person outside of your control affecting you, focus more on the environment. That's a safe buffer, because everywhere you go, you go to a place, right? Not every time there's a person there, but everywhere you go, there's a place involved. Keyword place. Meaning, in terms of the architecture in general, there's certain geometry. You're always going to see a corner, right? You're always going to see a corner. You're always going to see a color to that place. You're not always going to see a person, right? So deep down with our subconscious mind, in terms of environment, the place is way more important than the actual person. And I'm sure my followers here have heard, you know, many different stories when it comes to environmental resonance. And when you walk into a place, you know, certain things don't happen and certain things do. So many stories to that, right? So let's tap back into mental architecture right here. So tapping back into that, you want to really envision the place, but then you want to envision yourself, what you're actually wearing at this exact moment in time, in the now, what you're wearing, and then put yourself back into that place and go deep within your breathwork practice and embed positive, either positive affirmations, or accept the fact that beyond your control, you're accepting the fact beyond your control, you are accepting that you had a co-creation in that situation, no matter what the situation may be. And that's a tough pill to swallow, but it's a step. It's a powerful step in the fact that you can also embed the affirmation if that situation was pretty much terrible. And we can also flip this in another way. And I'll say why flipping the other way is practically a deep beneficial resonance in terms of where you want to go or where you're heading in terms of your journey, mentally, spiritually, physically. So a powerful affirmation I found is, at that point in time, you're accepting, with every breath, I'm accepting more of the opposite of what happened to me in that environment, quote unquote. So let's flip it around. Maybe you have somewhere in mind of the happiest point in your life, more so the environment. Focus on the environment. Beyond the people that were there cheering you on here and there, focus more so on the environment. That has a more pure, if you will, pure essence to it than visualizing people that were there here and there at that point in time. So you would say, with this breath, I'm accepting more of the happiness that was created at this environment, things of that nature. And always have that imprint in your mind, you know, throughout the day, randomly just think about that place. And as you do this practice over and over and over again, you'll start to build a mental map. And what I mean by a mental map is you'll have a deeper connection with your subconscious mind and your relationship with any type of environment that you go into, like moving forward. Keyword, moving forward. You are now placing a roadmap. You're creating a roadmap mentally and with your breath mechanics, because you know the breath is real. That's another factor about it. Utilizing the breath in this way. You know the breath is real. You can feel the breath. So that is one of the main components when I work with people going deep into rooted trauma that they really want to focus on getting over with. Hey, glad to see you as well. Does anyone want to hop on here live? I got a question. What devices do you use to create frequencies, or are they just speakers? No, there are no speakers here. Are you referring to scalar? If you're referring to scalar, the scales are on right now. You only hear the music. The scales are actually pretty silent. We're actually blasting about 53 frequencies. Today I'm going to update it. Should be more. After this, I'll update it. But we're actually blasting 50 plus frequencies into each of the scalar, of the pyramid over here. So on the bottom of the foundation, there's literally the scalars on there. Why do you wear a pyramid on your head? If you want the science, go to the biohacking page on my website. It's all there. But something to note, pyramids in general, they help create a scalar environment. Look into it. It's an interesting study that they did with scalar and pyramids. And you can't really, here's the thing, you can't really measure scalar, but there are certain devices that can tell you whether or not it's there. And one of my theories is why these quote unquote helicopters fly around is, sure, I may be public here and there, but I'm not that well known, right? So I think with certain feedback that they get in the space and in terms of the air, with certain aircrafts passing by, they might call and be like, hey, there's a dead spot here or something like this. And those helicopters will fly into those spots. And there's another factor that the NASA scholar, Dr. Fred Bell, when he was tapping into certain technologies, there would always be those black helicopters around. But on top of that, there was quote unquote more UFO sightings as well. So I think there's definitely a connection in there in terms of the energy that's being broadcasted. I don't think it's just me that's doing it. I guess I'm helping the effect of it, and then any surrounding UFOs, they might be like, hey, he's up to something here, and then that'll attract the black helicopters coming around that you may experience if you're one of those people that deal with scalar or energy devices in general. Hey, welcome. What's up with Iran? Yeah, I just answered your question. How about circles? I'm not sure what you mean by circles. What do you mean by that? Oh, okay. Yeah, well, technically the flower of life is one, because the flower of life is technically in all things. So I think that's what you mean in terms of scalar energy in itself. The flower of life, for sure, definitely coexist in the aspect of scalar, because down to the atom. And did you know atoms technically teleport? Definitely check out the holographic information that I posted a couple IGTVs ago. Somebody wants to hop on here live.
Hey, how you
Hello
doing?
there.
You said you had a question earlier, so I just wanted to answer that on that.
Huh?
You said you had a question earlier for one of us, so I wanted to answer that.
Oh, I didn't have a question. I was saying if you guys have a question.
Oh, cool, sweet. How would you describe this type of technology to somebody who's never heard of anything? And I'm talking meditation, anything whatsoever, because not having that base knowledge kind of makes it hard to describe to people from the outside, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's one of the things that held me back a little bit of doing the workshop, because there's also a metaphysical aspect that I can't even put to words, to be honest, at a certain point. And you guys, you'll see that within the workshop if you come. But the basic aspect, I can describe it as, everyone is familiar with a black hole, right? A black hole, you can imagine it goes into infinite dimensions of reality. And technically the sun's a black hole, but that's another story. So it goes into infinite dimensions of reality, and it's instantaneous. When you go into the black hole, you're in a whole different dimension of time and space. It's also a disruption of time and space. So you could literally put scalar within the division, within the category of a black hole. So what we're doing here is we're taking
What?
someone's picture and we're placing it into a type of technology that feeds into the black hole, but also placing different healing frequencies all at once, and they're going to feel it no matter where they are in the whole entire world. I hope that was good enough. Was that good?
No, I'm blown away. I wouldn't even, to put it simply, I'm blown away. I actually didn't know that. I hadn't looked at it that way. You blew my mind. I appreciate it then. Cool.
Yeah, no problem. Someone just said remote healing. Yeah, it's technically remote healing, but I look at it, and even for the religious people looking from the outside in, I tell them, look at it as someone praying for you 24/7 in that way, in that regard. Because that's what prayer is. When you go into prayer, technically prayer, in my opinion, is meditation. It's not separate whatsoever. You're cultivating an energetic healing force into the body. Like technically this in itself is a mudra, going the hand prayers. It's connecting both aspects of the left and the right brain hemisphere in one. But that's what's happening. You having a scalar technology blast certain healing frequencies at you 24/7, 365, and it's a great, even if you are healthy. Someone asked me, hey, is this great for protection? I'm like, hell yeah. For sure. It's, you have a bunch of cars all around you 24/7 honking at you. You have people cursing and doesn't have the best intentions when they talk, and stuff that's out of your control in the modern world that we live in. And that in itself is a frequency. So why wouldn't I want something on the complete opposite spectrum? Because if we weren't living in the society that we are, we would have more trees, we'd have more just natural energetic resonance where it's not a disruption, and life would be totally different right now for sure. But that's feeding into that paradigm when it comes to technologies like this.
Yeah, and with that being said, I think we're rediscovering these things. We can go back to ancient chemists and find them quite easily. We're just rediscovering it and putting it into science. And that's why I was so blown away, is because you can actually now prove these things. Because trying to speak to a scientific community, they'll get into semantics and they'll talk about terminology and accuracy and this and that. And the fact that we're making giant leaps and breakthroughs, quantum jumps, is just so exciting to the community.
Exactly. That's beautifully said. Where are you calling from?
South Africa.
Oh wow, which part?
Johannesburg, the capital, economic capital.
Yeah, beautiful. How's the weather out there? Is it always warm?
We actually had a bit of rain this morning, which is kind of weird because it's not our rainy season yet. So global warming is really, it's real. It's real.
It is to some extent. You could say that regardless, the Earth is going to be breathing with or without us. It's going to make shifts, and we've only been on this Earth for so long. So who's not to say that it was already doing this pre us? But for sure, we definitely have a energetic an energetic disruptions to the Earth. The fact that we're seeing the Schumann resonance rise back and forth. So the Earth's frequency isn't rising. What's happening is it's the intensity of the Earth trying to quote unquote heal itself. It's like when you're making a puncture in your hand, and then all the cells are going to go to that one spot. That's what's happening when you see those high influxes of high Schumann resonance. It's because 5G towers, satellites, all these stuff is causing the disruptions back and forth.
5G, a real one. It's another one that a lot of people aren't necessarily educated about. Which is changing. I believe it's changing. Infinite risings, infinite possibility, peace, love, positivity, you know?
Hey, feed more into that and you'll feed into more solutions rather than problems. It's not about being optimistic here and there, and I also want to talk about that. It's not being optimistic here and there, but it's also being a realist at the same time. A lot of people don't talk about the realist aspect about it, in the sense of, if I'm feeding and paying more attention to the problem, don't you think you're going to cause more problems anyway? So like what's the point? It's way beyond being optimistic. It's actually focusing more on, hey, what can I do now? What can I focus on solutions? Yes, I'm hurting, yes, and this and that, but at least I can do something. You can do something to help. No matter how small that tiny step is, it's still something. It's still a step forward. And that's the main important part that people overlook. It's not about fake positivity or whatever they call it. I don't know what they're saying these days, but it's
Toxic
more,
positivity.
yeah, toxic positivity. It goes way beyond that. It's the fact that, hey, I want to focus on this and see how far I can get to, and doing the best that I can, because that's all I can do, rather than going backwards, going into, hey, the problem this, the problem that, the problem this, but I'm just focusing more on the problem rather than the other solutions that goes with the problem.
So tell me, with regards to your diet, how have you felt the energetic changes? Because I know if anybody's going to feel these changes because of their molecular structure, it's going to be you. If anybody that I know is going to be you. So tell me, how have you been experiencing these changes in terms of energetic shifts?
Well, Miami taught me a lot about community, yes, but I have been finding myself not going to that many gatherings anymore, and I definitely do feel a shift with that. So um, I could also say it's definitely part of my personal life of how I'm interacting with people in general, and I really want to not more so protect that energy, but more so going back to feeding a spectrum of resonance of being where I'm not numb. I actually, you always want to feel. When you feel, it means you're alive. If you're numb, it means you're dead, right? So that feeling, that spectrum of feeling has risen for me. And I want to say that no matter how much you fast, how much you meditate here and there, you're still going to feel all the different types of emotions: rage, anger, sadness, happiness, all that stuff. But the difference is, I could tell you this, it's the amount of weight you can let go when those emotions come through. A lot of people will take it as a burden.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, in that regard, and it all depends on your journey at that point in time. But for me, I could definitely feel more weight being lifted when those emotions come back and forth, rather than holding on to one and just letting it take its course. Whether, even if it's happiness, like happiness doesn't always mean you're smiling, and doesn't always mean you're
Yeah.
you're laughing all the time, right?
You could
So
be straight face
ha- mhm.
and over the moon.
Yeah, there's a certain aspect of neutrality that doesn't give doesn't get enough recognition. But in terms of neutrality, you can feel, you get to a point of feeling where sadness, happiness has a different taste, yes, but there's a common foundation with all of them when it comes in and out the body. And that's what I've been learning and feeling over the years.
In terms of emotions, I actually find that my emotional body kind of craves different emotions at different times. So as much as I'd like to be happy all the time, or high vibration, air quotes, sometimes I see that I take certain decisions and actions that manifest the reality in which, yes, I do feel a bit of pain. Yes, I do feel a bit of anguish. I think that's a good word to use in that case. And so that really resonated with what you just said.
Mm. Hey, if we didn't have these emotions, we wouldn't be human, right?
Human experience, exactly that.
Exactly. That's part of what we're here for, to have that human experience. And um, when it comes to when it comes to eating in general, technically, it's an experience. It's it's an experience, but the more you can feel more yourself, you tend to realize it's not just you're eating a physical object, you're also eating emotions as well, and you're trying to cover up those emotions depending on if you're overeating. And that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the overeating aspect of it. And there's also the other aspect of overstimulation. They fall on the same spectrum. They do. There is an aspect of overstimulating the body and the mind. So
Elaborate on that.
going back to that neutrality is so important.
Neutrality. That's an interesting space, because usually people either think higher self or lower self, yin or yang, black, white, this, that. But staying in that neutral space, that's not something that you come across often. I like that perspective.
Mm. You know, the word natural in I think it might be Kemet, and it comes from the word netaru, which also means I think God as well. So the quote unquote more natural you are, the more closer you are to God, or that neutral state within mind, body, and spirit. You know, if someone has a more acidic diet, no matter what they believe in terms of whatever religion they are, I can easily pinpoint a space within their own religion that tells them it's good to be in that neutral state within their body, and it'll pop a lid open in the sense of, hey, oh, it's not just, there's also the physical aspect of it that connects with the spiritual. And even in the serpents, what they talk about in the Bible, it's technically talking about parasites as well sometimes. And how and the serpents, quote unquote, demons or possession, ties into what you eat as well. Either you're feeding parasites, or you're taking the time to, quote unquote, kill the parasites as well. You know, the more you read any ancient text, it's more than just being good, quote unquote. It's actually respecting this temple that you've been given as well. And you know, that's why they say you can also find good people in hell. I don't or or the road to hell is paved with good intentions. So you can also find good people. Still, you can also find good people in hell too. So it goes way beyond just being good, but it also goes back into the responsibility we have being gifted this life and this vessel that we have.
That's a beautiful take. I absolutely agree with that. Um, I see a rise of people flipping in a sense from one extreme belief to another extreme belief. So you might find that somebody, for example, myself, I never thought I'd be air quote vegan. I was like, there's no way. There's no way that's something I do. And a few months, years, days, whatever it be, later I'm on the complete different side of the paradigm, the spectrum. And I'm seeing that shift right now in my particular area in terms of psychedelics, and seeing different ways to structure your own body. Because again, what you said, what you are, what you eat. You are what you eat. So if you're eating a pig and a cow and a chicken, you're a pig and a cow and a chicken. If you're eating an apple and an orange and a grapefruit, you're exactly those things. And so to see that we could, as a species, as a human species, really switch our molecular structure as well, and our ways of thinking because of that, it's actually quite interesting, because it goes back to that middle space. Now it's time. Are we going to fall on this side of the coin or that side of the coin? Heads or tails?
Wow. Yeah, you're on the money with that one for sure. I am Sound God. Thank you for the badge, love.
Much love.
I'm reading some of the comments here. No, they're having their own conversation in there. All right. Alaga, thank you for the badge, love. Yeah, so going back, yeah, you are what you eat, all the way down into, you were asking me about people. I mean, the energetic shifts, right?
Yeah.
So, in terms of mirror neurons is basically, let's say you're watching a movie and you're watching a scary movie or something, and the girl is running away from the killer. All of a sudden, your heart starts beating, and you notice your breath kind of shifts a little bit
I
because the
know what you're
body,
talking about. Yeah.
yeah, the body is mirroring what it seems another human is going through. So the big shift that we're all dealing with here is people taking different stances within their body, and that's shifting the molecular structures and stuff like that. And you can feel them a lot more. That's the number one thing I have noticed, and I'm very peculiar on where I go these days and how I interact with people, moving forward with the whole planetary shift, if you will. And it's a great time to honestly learn to uh, love yourself as well, but also learn to also be alone. Learn. I'm back here. Yeah, what I mean by learn to be alone, I mean build a deeper relationship with yourself in the sense of what truly makes you happy, and what void are you always seeking to quote unquote look for, to feel that happiness. So if you can get into a space of creativity, I find that to help dramatically. Because when we're looking at another human for connection and stuff of that nature, you're really looking for a creative outlet. That's what another human brings to us. When we randomly meet someone on the same frequency, whatever the case may be, they are bringing a creative outlet into that environment wherever you're meeting them at that point in time. There's a certain point in time where that in itself was entertainment, beyond just watching TV and all that stuff.
Yeah.
There's a certain point in time where that in itself was entertainment, and that's what our ancient ancestors knew about gatherings and meditating together and growing that's why they say it takes a whole village to raise a child, right? There you go. That's a connection. Someone goes, how do you override the mirror neurons to prevent you from mirroring a negative behavior? Ooh, your breath mechanics. I can tell you this, um, whoever is projecting a certain behavior to you is obviously in a different breath pattern. So if you can quickly recognize it, you can then shift and slow down your breathing even more than whatever their pace is going at. I'll give you one thing the CIA themselves use. Whenever someone's talking, that can be your exhale. You do this about three couple breaths while they're talking, and then whenever you notice they take an inhale with them, but do it with the nose only. Only breathe with the nose.
Are you
And
tapped in? You are
yeah,
tapped in.
yeah. Whenever they exhale, that'll be your exhale. But then it'll try to get to a certain point where whenever they inhale, when you finally catch a rhythm to your breath, exhale a lot longer and wait till they inhale, and then they're still talking, and try to go even longer. And that'll go for another inhale. If you got to take another inhale, do it with them, and then you'll start to notice how that person starts to calm down if they're coming at you like a frantic manner. That's a powerful way of using what I call mirror breathing in that regard.
That's good. Whoever asked that question, good question. Thank you. Appreciate that one.
That was a good question. So
I
much
have
gratitude to all the plants and fruits and vegetables. Yeah. Yeah, is there anything else? Oh, she mentioned psychedelics. Exactly, I become able to feel everything just like meditation. Yeah, psychedelics in general is another tool. It's another technology, you could say. Um, there's particular psychedelics that humans today they cannot synthetically make. One of them, I know, is actually ayahuasca. Ayahuasca, you can't synthetically make ayahuasca. So it makes you wonder, those ancient tribes back then, how in the hell did they know to take this tree, that tree, this tree, this type of plant, boil it in one, and
This
create,
temperature, this long.
yeah, it's all the way down to the temperature. How did they know to create ayahuasca? Even the Dogon. Have you ever heard the Dogon people?
Yeah, West Africa.
Yes, the Dogon people. How did they know that Ceres was over there way before scientists got telescopes and how
They
did
had
they
to build
know?
an $8 billion telescope to figure that out. So
Yeah, when all they needed was just being in tune with themselves and they knew it was right there before
there
scientists
you
could
go.
even figure that out. Yeah, the Dogon people are they're a dying breed, but they're a beautiful village that are they're keeping their stories being told as much as they can.
It's sad to see this happen, but it's part of growth.
Hmm.
I have one last question before I go,
Yeah,
and it's to do with manifestation. Now, obviously, the way you breathe affects you, your life, how you function, and everything, all that good stuff. Now, with manifestation, I'm in a situation. I'm in a situation rather where I have to wear a mask for a good chunk of the day, 6, 7 hours, 8, 9 on a busy day. So how can I control my breathing while under restraint? Because it's not really something that I can avoid. I'd love to have the luxury to stay home, but
right.
unfortunately, that's not reality.
Yeah,
So, because
exactly.
it really affects my ability to manifest, and I can't deal with it.
Do you have to go to school? Is that why? You're right.
Correct.
Okay. So if you hold on to this as long as you can as you get older, I can only imagine where your direction in life is going to go. And I'm really honored that you even follow me and is paying attention to breath mechanics in this way. But let's actually do one right now. A breathing that we can do right now, and I'll do two separate aspects of it and tell you why to do one or the other going back and forth. So we'll do a simple one where you're gonna have a regular inhale, and then I want you to breathe out 3 partial breaths out.
Nasally,
A
okay.
regular inhale, 3 partial breaths out. But when you do that on the exhales, what I want you to do for every exhale, I want you to switch your hands as you squeeze them. So for one exhale, you squeeze your right hand, you let go. On the other exhale, you squeeze your left hand, you let go. And we're gonna go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And you can do this while you're walking, jogging, whatever the case may be. All right, you ready? And then I'm gonna say relax. When I say relax, breathe where you can't hear the breath at all, only with your nose.
Okay,
You
got it.
ready?
Ready.
All right, so we're gonna start in 3, 2, 1, let's go. Relax. Breathe where you can't hear the breath at all. Let that inhale come in naturally and slow down your exhales deeper and deeper and deeper. As you connect with your breath more and more, have that internal dialogue with every breath. What are you accepting more of in your life in that exact moment in time? Have that internal dialogue in your mind's eye. All right. You ready for another one?
I'm ready for another one.
All right. For this one, the only difference is I want you to squeeze both of your hands. That's the only difference. All right. So we're going to start in 3. Remember, you're only squeezing only on the exhales, both hands. And only use the nose, of course. And remember, 3 partial breaths out for those that are just joining us. Again, it's a regular inhale. And then 3 partial breaths out. Going outwards. All right? So relax. I'm going to start with the inhale. But before we do, in your mind's eye, remember, what was your intention with every breath? What are you accepting more of? And we're going to start in 3, 2, 1 with the inhale. Let's go. Relax. Breathe in silence. Relax your hands. Now slowly bring your left hand on your heart, your right hand on your stomach. Breathe where you can't hear the breath at all. Deeper and deeper exhales. Thank you for sharing the breath. How are we feeling?
I appreciate your time so much, Devon.
Much
Is it
love. Oh,
I'm not
it's Devon.
Devon. Okay.
Yeah.
I
I want
appreciate you.
I want you also to send me a personal message that you are from my Instagram live, and I'll send you the breath healing sounds for free. It's a whole, like my whole catalog of it. And before you go into class or after school, whatever the case may be, like you can also have it playing in the background. I don't know what your restrictions are with your phones or whatever, but man, if I was your age and I knew everything that I knew at that point in time, like I can only imagine life. And I'm really honored again to share the breath with you, and can only imagine where you're going. And I ask, definitely be consistent with it, at least the breath in itself, just doing it. And you'll be surprised how more centered you feel even within that type of environment, aka school. And it's a definitely a powerful shift you're gonna feel in the coming days. And yeah, don't be afraid to reach out and share your experiences with me.
understand. Appreciate it so much. Family for having me. Well, much love and light.
And what do I call you? What's your name?
Misho.
Michelle?
Misho. Misho.
Michelle. Much love. All right,
Yes.
sister. Have a wonderful day. Peace. Yes, just with this small session, I feel it. Much love. You just missed it? Don't worry, it'll be on live again. If you guys got anything out of this, definitely share it, please. Share it around, spread breath consciousness, because I'm already being the C word. I'm not going to say the full word. They are definitely watching me, for sure. Yeah, it was a beautiful conversation, for sure. It really was. If anyone else wants to hop on live and share their experiences and just want to ask more questions, you're more than welcome. The breath is everything. Great share. Let's go live soon. Yeah, for sure. I won't be going live after this for a while. That's for sure. Doing a ceremony technically today, later tonight, and I'm gonna take some time and integrate. Yeah, let them watch. That's all they can do. Exactly. Yeah, I'm so honored to be part of just. I'm just lost for words because I am actually working with a Philadelphia school, and again, it's truly an honor to be part of someone's growth that young. It's really, really powerful. Like, you guys live by example, whatever your life may be, and the kids are watching you. Live by example. Do the best that you can do, and let the energy speak for itself. Do you think we are past the pandemic yet? Personally, yeah. If you're not buying into it, if you're not feeding it, you are technically at this point. You're past it. If you've gotten past that threshold, if you know what I'm talking about, in terms of you're not constricted in certain ways. If you really feel that you're not constricted in certain ways, then technically you are, in my eyes, past that. Here in Florida, I feel like we all are. We're past that. At least here in Florida. Where can I get great cacao for a ceremony? I don't know. I'm not doing that type of ceremony. I don't know why you thought I was doing a cacao ceremony, but cacao. I don't know. I don't know. Age of Aquarius. You're a part of the new world. We all are a part of the new world. We're here. We're doing it. Thank you for the great work you do. Much love. Yes, we are self-sufficient beings in all dimensions. We all have that capacity to do that. No matter how bad your situation may look. Look at someone like Nelson Mandela. Let's look at that story alone. I'm not saying that that's like, hey, that one story. There's a whole bunch of stories out there that is very similar. Technically, my story, how I got to be at this state in time, technically, my story was based off of just losing everything, literally, or what you may perceive as everything. But I gained a lot more at that point in time, more than I realized, and yeah, I'm just honored again to be part of your journey in whatever capacity that may be. Thank you for hopping on here, sharing your presence, your energy, your breath, in this manner. That was a beautiful conversation. Again, please share this live on your story or someone who also may need the breathwork part of it and get to try it out. And so that one's also great for kids in general.
P.S.
I should take a
big
little mini part of
shout
that
out
and then I'll
and
post it
love
on. So when I get back to
Devin,
society,
the
I'll
architect
do that come
and
next
wizard
week. So,
behind
all right,
alchemy
guys.
breathwork.
See you when I
I've
see
been a
you. Much
breathwork-
love.
Breathwork practitioner, pranayama practitioner for almost 8 years now, and hands down, the way Devin alchemizes his unique style of breathwork is one of my favorites I've ever experienced. I've been doing it consistently every morning, and it's unlike anything I've ever experienced. The totality of it is just mwah.